The pick is in.
33rd pick, the Cleveland Browns select Carson Schwesinger, linebacker from UCLA. Let's bring in Locked On Browns host Spencer German. And Spencer, I've heard Carson called the human bloodhound. So I got to ask, I take it, maybe he's a good fit. Maybe this means he's a good fit for the old dog pound.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that nickname yet for him, but I like that. I do think that would be something that goes over well with the Cleveland Browns fan base. You know, it's funny, like I think his background is what makes him almost a perfect fit for this town and this team. Cleveland's a very blue collar town. They rally around guys who have to like work hard and earn everything. And Carson Schwesinger certainly has that as his story as a guy who walked on at UCLA and it kind of had to earn his stripes to the point where he finished his career last year, really solid season, 90 tackles, the 2 picks, forced fumble, a couple of tackles for loss as well. Just sort of a do it all type guy that earned every single inch of what he had last year. So I think there was a little bit of sort of uncertainty from Browns fans, or maybe some surprise feelings from Browns fans in terms of like, why would they go defense again? Why would they go linebacker? But when the dust settles on this pick, I do think it's a solid one for the Browns, and I do think he sort of fits the culture here as well.
And when you look at what Carson brings to the table, obviously there's some upside there, but some areas where he needs to improve. What are the things you need to see from him throughout training camp, the preseason, to make you feel like he can be that contributor day one?
Yeah, I think he talked about it in his conference call that we just had here a little bit ago, how he views himself as somebody who can do everything. And I think there's some tape that certainly shows he can be pretty versatile. But you're doing it now at the next level. Is he going to be able to cover as well as he sort of did at UCLA in certain aspects? Is he going to? He has, I think, some really good instincts where he can sort of diagnose things quickly. But again, once you're going up against NFL level linemen who are trying to get to that second level and block you, can you evade those guys and still make the play? So I think there'll be certainly some adjustments as you mentioned. It's going to be interesting to see where he fits, because I think all of us in the media room collectively viewed this as an interesting move for the Browns, considering the status of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and what his future sort of holds after the injury he suffered last year. And so this feels like it could be a move to get somebody in that room who can play next year and maybe spell some trouble for JOK's ability to be available next year. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But understanding that this was a need for the Browns, maybe in that respect, it's a move that makes sense, and I think there's a chance that Carson has a chance to make an immediate impact here.
Appreciate you, Spencer, for continuing coverage of the Browns. Subscribe to Locked On Browns wherever you get your podcast. And for more on Carson Schwesinger, let's hear from Locked On UCLA host Zach Yoxsimer, who spent a lot of time covering Carson up close.
Carson Schwesinger is the heartwarming tale made for Hollywood in this NFL draft. Hi, everybody. Zach Anderson Yoxsimer, host of Locked On UCLA. Whoever's getting Carson Schwesinger is getting a guy who's a workhorse, someone who's had to earn it, work for it. As a walk-on at UCLA, turning into an All-American through multiple coaching staffs, multiple defensive schemes, this is the guy you want. You're not going to see many walk-ons to the NFL draft, I think, anymore, with the new legislation, new roster limits coming in college football. So soak up this story as much as you can. Carson is that guy who's going to work for it, will be the heart and soul of your defense. Maybe not year one, but somebody who, if you think of a tackle registered in a game coming up in 2025, 2026, it's most likely Schwesinger, who has worked his heart and soul, maybe starting as a special teamer and then turning himself into a complete player by the time his NFL career finishes. For more Locked On UCLA news and notes, follow and subscribe to Locked On UCLA.